Okay, so before we will move to the vehicle materials, let's take a look what we've got here in this scene. We've already talked about the road and the sound. Let's take a look here. I've got another vehicle. It's just the same vehicle with a different texture, of course. In some parts it's just a default rust material, but for the vehicle I've created a new texture and I've used, of course, the sand on the top of everything, but for the base I've used just a default abandoned car material from the Quixel suit Dido. And of course, if we look on the sky, it's not the default sky from the Unreal, because there we have much simpler clouds. But here you can see some clouds, of course, are still moving, and these clouds that are moving are, of course, from this basic Unreal sky, and the sky behind them, it's the one that I've added. So let's maybe select this sphere that I've added. It's called Clouds Sphere. Let's press F on our keyboard. And you can see this is the sphere that I've added. And actually the clouds that are moving are behind this sphere. And this sphere with clouds that are standing still are just closer to the player. And of course I have applied material to this sphere, and this material, you can see, it's pretty simple. We have parameter node to control the color, and of course parameter node for the opacity, so we can control how much transparent this should be. And of course you can see this sky is not blue. I've changed this manually in Photoshop because green sky, a little bit green, looks more like from a Mad Max or something like this. And of course, let me open this again. Of course, this is a translucent material with shading mode set to unlit. So it's blending, of course, with this sky behind it. Let's maybe jump to our player, and here I have material instance for this sky. You can see I am able to play a little bit with this. I can change opacity, and if I will set it to 0, I have just only default Unreal Sky. So let's move maybe to the car materials. We didn't talk too much about creating materials for the inside part because they were very simple. So let's really quickly go through this right now. You can see here we've got our seat. It's a leather seat. Red leather is, I've been using, I've been trying different materials, but this one is probably a red leather jacket from the Quixel Dido. With of course some dirt applied on the top of it and some edge wears. Here we have, of course, grainy plastic, brushed steel, and here pretty similar grainy plastic, and here it's brushed aluminum, brushed steel, and of course wheel is it's made of wood. You can see, of course, everything is covered by the sand. You can see also we've got these clocks, and of course the texture for these clocks is on the same texture as lights, as front lights and back lights, but this is a completely separate material, so let's really quickly see how it's done. Here I have it. So of course we've got texture for the roughness, texture for the normal, and texture for the albedo. Metallic is set to 0, but here we have a bump offset. And what this is creating this kind of depth, so it looks like this clock, painted clock, it's a little bit deeper than this front glass, but actually everything is on the same plane. So you can see how it's done here. For the height I have pretty low value and height ratio even lower value, and of course it's connected to the albedo and the normal, but not for the roughness, because roughness it's simulating a little bit this front glass that is a little bit higher than this inside part. Okay, I've also created this blanket and some cans. Material is very simple, there is nothing to explore there. You can see I have just basic textures set up. So let's actually explore a little bit these lights, because they are pretty interesting. Let's maybe start from the front, and much simpler are materials that are inside the lights. So actually this one that is inside steel, and of course this one also is pretty simple. So let me open these materials. So this is light inside material. You can see we've got just a constant 3 vector, one for metalness and the roughness. So this is just a blurred metal, nothing fancy. And for the back part, we've got this material. It's called lights inside material 2 instance. Let's open this. So it has a color parameter and few adjustments that are allowing us to tweak different things. This one is changing the roughness of the material, and this one is adding a little bit more shadow to the outside area of the light. So let's open the master material. Let's explore it a little bit. So here are these shadows. Of course, here is our color parameter, lerp. This one is 0 value. And of course, as an alpha, we have here connected a texture sample. And here we have this shading control. Texture sample is also connected to the emissive color, so the front part, so the center part is a little bit brighter than without emissive, and the outside elements are much more darker. So I think this one is pretty simple. So the outside materials, let's start from the front, and here we have material for the front light. Let's open the master material first. So you can see for the normal map we have applied just a texture sample, and for the ambient occlusion too. But for the opacity, roughness, metallic and base color, we have here something like break material attributes, because here we are using layered material. And this one is material layer blend simple, and here is actually just another material node. So here we can plug a different texture, and this will be a blending node. Here we are just extracting attributes from this and passing to the first material. So actually it's pretty simple. Here we have base color, our texture sample. Here we have our metallic and roughness value, and here we've got our opacity with the parameter. All this is done because we can achieve a transparency and also have some reflections on the surface of the material. And of course this one has light material instance, where we can play with the transparency parameter. You can see if I set it to 0, it's completely transparent. And if I set it to 0.9, it's, I think, in the right value. Same here and here. Okay, so let's talk about these backlights. It's pretty similar story. We have a layered material to achieve transparency and reflections. So let's open master material, and here we've got also texture samples, same nodes, but here also we've got a texture sample that we are using for the opacity. So instead of using a parameter or node, we are using a texture sample, or we can call this a mask. Actually, it's called light opacity mask. And of course, we are inverting this here by using a -1 node, 1 minus. So by doing this, we have transparency only on these areas, these front areas, but on the edges we've got this fully non-transparent. So let's open a instance, and here I don't have even a parameter to control opacity because I was right that this is correct opacity. So let me check this actually. Yeah, we don't have any parameter to control the opacity of this mask because I've just tweak in Photoshop manually this brightness of this texture, so I don't have to use any parameter here. So that's it. You can see we've got, of course, dirt that is not transparent completely on these lights. And it's of course pretty easy to make them work because we can apply few values to the emissive and probably tweak a little bit, and this should be okay. So I think this is everything that we have to cover. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and hopefully get some informations out of it. Okay, so at the end, just one more thing. I'm not sure that I've talked about this. Let's just select our post-process volume, and here in the settings, color, scene color, we have this color grading option, and we are able to lower out our lookup tables. And I have created one. Let's switch right now to the Photoshop and I will show you which one I've used. Just create a new document and we can go here, color lookup, and I've add this one. Of course we don't have an image, so we don't see any effect, but you can check different looks in Photoshop and maybe some of this will be useful for you. Let's switch back to Unreal. If I will turn this off, you can see that my scene is not looking pretty spectacular. I think it looks way better with this lookup table on. So using these lookup tables you can adjust contrast, saturations and stuff like this. So it's pretty handy. Okay, so thank you again for watching. I hope I will be able to record another tutorial that will be more advanced. Pretty soon I would like to release a free bonus tutorial that will be about rigging this vehicle, and then we will put everything together in Unreal, so we will be able to drive this vehicle actually. So I don't know when I will find time for this, but I'm definitely motivated to record this kind of free tutorial. Okay, so see ya.